action this afternoon, the final non-conference game for both of these sides, and great, just the importance now of taking momentum into their league play.
Well, and you think of momentum in a game as Lana McCarthy for three. Wow.
You don't see McCarthy sending them from deep too much. She's been phenomenal inside the paint. Only playing 11 minutes, so that meant that Purdue came in a lot more. So nice to see her back out there. Does have a wrap around that right knee, so I'll be watching that. And the Sycamores just trying to get something going here early. A deep one put up. Not able to get it to fall there. It's Seacrest, but that's a good idea. Get the shots up.
And that one was just a little bit off, but again, Indiana State's going to get shots up. Purdue just has to get the rebound like you saw in that first possession. McCarthy
getting big there and doing what we're probably going to see her do a lot this afternoon.
Yeah, the 6'4" forward from Bedford, New Hampshire has been a huge addition to the Purdue Boilermakers this year with the presence inside the post, both offensively and defensively.
Boilermakers looking for their first back-to-back win since before Thanksgiving. I love to talk about how hard their schedule is, Craig, and it is true. I mean, the amount of not just top 25, but top 10 teams that they've played. Mid-range not able to fall for on the Sycamores, and so far, just the Boilermakers with the 2 points.
Well, and JJ, it's a mentality from Katie Gerald's that iron sharpens iron, and that's why you see the schedule, as that one was off a little bit there from Reynolds, but you see the schedule bulking up for the Purdue Boilermakers because, again, you get into the meat of the Big Ten schedule, it is a very difficult conference to play in, and so Katie Gerald's is trying to make sure her team is prepared by having that heavyweight or that top-loaded non-conference schedule.
The Sycamores, although not on the greatest streak right now, back-to-back losses. They have started to get more points coming in off the bench, and so we'll be trying to do that once again today. They've had some big returnees last week. Bella Finnegan returned from injury. She averaged 13 points a game, so she'll be a big one that has to step up today when she gets in here.
I see a nice job there by McCarthy getting that board and then also finishing on the reverse.
Jones puts it into Williams, who puts that one up, but always tracking left. LA, California native, right now their lead scorer. 1 rebound shy of a double-double in that last game. Coming out of the tournament as we see our first foul of the game.
It's a great job there by Deja Jones. Only 5'9", but going into the land of the bigs and getting a board, and then also drawing the foul from the Boilermakers, so getting the ball back for Indiana State, and that's going to be something Indiana State's going to have to do. They're going to have to out-rebound the Purdue Boilermakers. Right now it's even at 4 apiece.
Me and you spoke about it. The Boilermakers, every game that they've won, they've started really quickly. And so for the Sycamores, a second-half team, if they can just keep it close, they should be able to kind of eat into any deficit later on in the game.
Yeah, and we saw this recently in the last week or so, Purdue playing Kentucky, and Kentucky started out struggling from the floor, and Purdue just wasn't able to capitalize. And so it's more of a momentum thing for the Boilers to capitalize on the other team's mistakes, and they're seeming to do that here early on against the Sycamores.
McCarthy going to the line, and that one looping around. We'll speak a lot about the freshman, her physicality, but also her pairing, her and Purdue sharing a lot of minutes. And you talk about the way they complement the offense. Lombard, really explosive off of their plays inside the paint. Collier, some space on this weak side. Puts it into McCarthy, double team. Tries to fire it out, but nicely picked up there by Seacrest on the far side. Sycamore still looking for their first points. Nice rebound, and there they are. Stoll gets the Sycamores onto the board.
Yeah, it was great positioning from Stahl to get in front of McCarthy. Allow McCarthy to grab that board, and she's able to finish it off.
Seymour, Indiana native, Stahl after not starting any of those early games. She started the last 3 and now last 4, so starting to see a lot more minutes here. Lombard, loads of space on that wing, puts that one up, not able to get it to fall.
Well, and something that I've noticed here early on, a lot of physicality under the basket. I mean, got to have some courage to go into the hoop here in this game today.
Some physical players out there, and this all Indiana lineup. There's a lot of bragging rights at stake here. Collier puts up the mid-range one and gets that one to fall.
Hey, you talk about rivalries again. A lot of players on both of these teams come from the state of Indiana, so you have to imagine that this isn't the first time that these guys have seen each other. I mean, they've played against each other in high school and AAU ball coming up, and so, I mean, it's a rivalry personally between some of these players that have seen each other frequently in their careers leading up to this game.
Two of the leaders here going at it. Williams against Bass, and that's a nice job by Williams to get the edge on Bass, who's just such a sublime defensive player.
And Williams does a nice job on the positioning there, getting under the basket and able to use that power to finish off.
McCarthy, nice turn. He gets one back on Williams. It's all going through McCarthy right now.
And McCarthy said, anything you can do, I can do as well. You see McCarthy being guarded by Williams. Just that quick little drop step and able to finish at the rim. That's what Purdue's going to need to do here to establish themselves offensively, because then it allows the defense to drop down and double the big. Then you have a kick-out opportunity.
Lombard takes that one away. She leads the Big Ten in steals and just such an explosive player. The speed, we'll see it on display this afternoon, but right now the speed coming from the Sycamores. Nice breakaway, but a good job by Reynolds to block that shot from Deja Jones.
Yeah, Reynolds, the 6-foot guard from South Bend, Indiana, keeping her feet in front of the ball and getting a nice hand on that one. Sycamores will get the ball, but some good defense from the Boilers.
The Boilermakers well tested. Games against Notre Dame, USC, Kentucky, Maryland.
South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable. But I don't think they could be any more prepared heading into the Big Ten play. Williams going against the new entry into this game, Puryear. And Puryear doing enough to put her off.
Yeah, Puryear's physical as well. I'm interested to see that matchup with her and Williams down there in the post here as this.
Swanson, also no entry into the game, puts that one up, gets that one to fall. An absolutely explosive shooter last year, just still trying to kind of get the, I guess, consistency on the offensive end right now.
Yeah, and Katie Gerald's talked about it during Big Ten Media Days earlier on here in the fall, that when you need a bucket, number 31 is who you call on to get you a bucket. And you saw Sophie Swanson coming in here, making the most of her minutes and finishing that one off right away.
As we see our first timeout of the afternoon. I think right now the Sycamores probably would take this. They scored just a florent of points in the second half of their last game. It wasn't enough to get the job done against Eastern Kentucky, but 26 points scored in the fourth quarter, and we've seen the Boilermakers, Craig, really slow down, especially in that kind of third, fourth quarter. So that's the importance of keeping this one close.
Yeah, and again, if you're Indiana State, you don't want to let Purdue get too big of a lead on you here early on. Again, Purdue, the home team, the environment at Mackey Arena. But I mean, you look at the stats right now. I mean, both teams are struggling from the floor. 2 of 11 for Indiana State, 5 of 11 for Purdue. Both teams 0 from the three-point line. It's kind of even back and forth here. It's just Indiana State hasn't been able to finish at the hoop as Purdue has. So it'll be interesting to see coming out of this timeout if Indiana State changes anything and tries to get the ball closer to the hoop instead of just jacking up threes.
Just a few days until Christmas. You're seeing the elf hats, you're seeing the Santa Claus hats. Craig, would you say you've been on the naughty or nice list this year?
Oh, man, it's the most wonderful time of the year, and I've been on the nice list. I'm on the nice list every year.
I thought you were going to change the subject there and try not to answer that question.
No. It's my favorite time of the year, Christmas time.
The Sycamores trying to get some points coming out of that timeout. A bit more speed here, driving in there. Jones not able to get it to fall. Really nice rebound coming in from Stoll. She needs a bit of help. Finds it on the outside. Shot coming in from Finnegan. And that one falling, but Bella Finnegan, big return, coming back from injury last week, and they're going to need her to just continue what she did last week. 13 points a game, as mentioned.
Yeah, Rashunda Jones with the answer for the Boilers out of the timeout. That's what Katie Gerald was looking for right there, and Jones comes in and gives the Boilers a boost.
It's the most depth that Katie Geralds has probably ever had in her short term here with the Boilermakers.
Well, and it's her first full recruiting class, if you will. I know that she's brought in some transfers.
Jones doing a really nice job finding some space at the top of the lane and getting that one to float down. 3:35 left to go in this first quarter, excuse me.
And 3 of 15 early on from the floor for Indiana State.
Collier getting that deep one to fall. She practices that shot quite a lot, especially in warm-ups. Really that wing, weak side wing, and the leader in this team done a great job working with the younger players, the transfer. Still finding the ball quite a lot underneath the hoop and not really finding a lot of help, it would seem, Craig.
No, and Stahl's been working really hard under the basket, already with five of her team's 9 rebounds have come from the hands of Stahl. And so just trying to find those ways to get to the hoop, trying to find those ways to finish is Indiana State. And you see their coach over there getting in a little bit, Mark Mitchell, trying to shout some encouragement to his Sycamores, trying to fire him up here.
Yeah, Coach Mitchell very animated there, not happy at all. You saw some applause coming in. It was the entry of Jordan Poole, who returned against Miami of Ohio, getting just under 6 minutes. She's been injured all season, and the Boilermakers, and especially Katie Gerald, so happy to see her back. So much of the offense we'll see go through her, not just this year, but the years that she's here with the Boilermakers. And it's got to be tough, Craig, getting to the school you want to be at and then getting that injury and having to sit out and watch it all going on. But you see the assist there, and you see how it's going to work out for her.
What a pass from Poole, the no-looker. And that making an impact early on, and that's what Katie Geralds is looking for from number 10.
Still finally able to get one to go. She's been in that same position many times already early in this game, but just had a florent of Boilermakers around her. Poole sends it into Purier again. Purier's looking to go to work against Williams. Gets big, but this time the LA native gets the upper hand.
Yeah, that's just good defense there from the Sycamores. Matching physicality with physicality.
Deep one coming in from Finnegan. And that's a great answer there by the junior.
And a benefit for Coach Mitchell having a Bella Finnegan come off the bench, averaging 13 and 4 this season, making an immediate impact. First 3-point field goal of the game for the Sycamores.
Finnegan 15 points off the bench as we see another deep shot come down, this time by Jones. Finnegan, the hometown Illinois native. As mentioned, those last 2 games in the MTE were the first ones back. Started 31 games last season and was the team high leader in 3-pointers with 51. Williams holds it at the top of the lane, hands it off to Jones, who puts that one up, not able to get it. Still, she's had herself a florent of rebounds early in this one.
My goodness.
Nice play.
Stahl with her 7th rebound of the game. Man, she is working down low.
Well, right now for the Sycamores, all of the offense has gone through Stahl, it feels.
Everything has gone through Stahl. 6 points, 6 rebounds, 5 of them on the offensive end.
Jones just off center, doesn't get that one to fall. Poole try to get the rebound, but the Sycamores starting to work their way back into this one. A better job stopping the Boilermakers. Purdue this year and the past few, when they get hot, they're a tough team to stop. Exceptional from deep, mid-range.
Yeah, speaking of hot, Deja Jones and Sage Stahl heating up the Sycamores as they've cut the Boilermaker lead to 4.
Whatever Coach Mitchell screamed on the sideline a few minutes ago seems to have incited his team to get back into this one. An absolutely exceptional coach 10 years ago in that 2013-14 season. Led Fairline Dickinson Fordham to a 33-0 perfect season at the D3 level. Coach of the year, his first year with the Sycamores.
Yeah, that was a great job by Kendall Purrier in the post-up, drawing the foul. 1.8 seconds to go here in quarter number 1, but Purrier very, very physical down low right now, going back and forth with Chloe Williams. Now going to the line for a pair.
And with McCarthy not getting many minutes last game, it meant that Purrier got more. Season high 27 coming last game.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it a couple times here early on as that one falls short, but the recruiting class that Katie Gerald's brought in this year, and that includes Kendall Puryear, that includes Lana McCarthy, and you know, Katie Gerald's is trying to build up this staff, re-bolster up this offense, and Puryear's trying to capitalize here.
Puryear, quite an unorthodox free throw shot. She can get them to fall. And going off what you said, Craig, you know, speaking a lot about it, when Katie Geralds brings a player in, she wants them to play, and she's going to get the chance to talk to those players right now. We'll be back in just a moment here on Big Ten Plus. A very warm welcome back to West Lafayette, 20-15, and Craig, you've just started to see the Sycamores get more comfortable into this game.
Yeah, the first half of the first quarter was dominated by the Purdue Boilermakers, but Indiana State started picking things up in the last couple of minutes. They were able to cut the Boilermaker lead to 5, and now trying to cut that even shorter here, but a turnover early on is going to stifle that comeback.
Williams tries to drive underneath the hoop, and unfortunately finds McCarthy there, which is probably not who you want to meet underneath the basket. And this time, it's McCarthy who goes against Williams and gets the one up on her there. That's going to be a big battle this whole afternoon, Craig.
Yeah, McCarthy is very strong with that right hand, and she was able to get the ball in position. Nice little drop step, and then the hook right over the top of Chloe Williams.
Sycamore sending out one deep there, coming in from Maya Simpson, who makes her much awaited return from injury. Another huge boost for the Sycamores.
You also got Maori Petrie out there too, getting her first minutes of the game, and it looks like she's in there to feed McCarthy.
And Petrie getting a high of 8 points last game. Also high in minutes, 19, and 3-pointers, putting up 2. So Miami of Ohio, the best game in the Boilermaker uniform so far for the Detroit, Michigan native.
Getting that extra year as well, that 6th year. I'm in my 14th year. I'd love to take an extra year to play another sport.
It's over, Craig. Let it go. Stoll gets it out to that far side. Jones puts that one up, puts that one down. And the Sycamores continue to heat up on the offensive end.
And Deja Jones is quietly creeping up here. 6 points now to tie stall for the team lead for the Sycamores.
Well, the San Antonio, Texas native, back-to-back double-digit scoring against NIU. She got 17 points, and right now averaging 32.2 minutes a game, which is a huge jump, and something the Sycamores wanted to point out. You've got a few players who have got huge jumps in minutes and production from last season.
Well, I mean, as the expectation grows, the minutes will start to grow as well, and more responsibility to the players who didn't get as much playing time last season, but some great defense there from the Purdue Boilermakers.
Collier, beautiful steal, tries to get the Boilermakers going. Lombard, bit of speed, tries to get around the corner, fires it to Petrie. Collier, the one who stole it, will be the one that gets the points. And that's a really pretty play from the Boilermakers.
Great ball movement from the Purdue Boilermakers, skipping that an extra pass, and it pays off with the three-pointer from the top of the key, and that is how Purdue is going to be successful here today and start to pull away from the Sycamores.
We all love good offensive games, and we're starting to see one boil up here. Finnegan thought about it, handed it back to Jones, who goes against Petrie, puts that one up, but too much off the glass. And the Boilermakers now looking to speed things up on the offensive end. Triple team coming in there from the Sycamores and forces the travel, so a nice job getting back by Indiana State.
And you see there a great job on the defense there from White and Jones with the trap at the top of the key and getting the ball back. See if the Sycamores can cash in here now down by 10.
And given how the Boilermakers are playing, it was quite a aggressive move. Petrie gets a steal herself, drives down, stops for a second and puts that one up. The foul, though, will be called on Savannah White, who couldn't get back and get set in time. A really nice job. The Boilermakers getting a few steals here, Craig.
Yeah, a nice job there by Petrie, the 6th year. And then the intelligence to stop, get the little pump fake there, and then draw the foul on Savannah White. And Petrie's coming in here giving the Boilers a boost off the bench. Already 1 for 1 from the floor, now looking to go back-to-back here with a couple of shots from the line.
Just looking to continue that great momentum that she has going. first one of the double will fall for Petrie. The Boilermakers shooting 57% right now from the field. And so for the Sycamores, only being down 9 points. Now, that's terrible math by me. I mean, that shows why I'm not a math major. But even keeping it close with how well they're shooting, Craig, is testament to them. As Stoll sends that one in from deep.
Man, you're not that good with math, but you work on our airplanes? Come on, man, what's going on?
Well, I'm a pilot.
Oh, okay.
Pilots aren't as smart as everyone thinks.
Hopefully you just know how to read a gas gauge. That's all I care about.
I can read a compass as well.
There we go.
Collier, that far side, drives in, puts that one up, not able to get it to go down, but she's starting to feel herself heating up here as this game gains more speed. And you'd think, Craig, I think just if this is the tempo of the game, it probably suits the Boilermakers more.
Well, yeah, Purdue is built for speed. You see there, Destiny Lombard able to finish that one off, starting to heat up here for the Boilers, but Purdue wins the speed game, and they are able to get up and down the floor, and they're taking advantage of the turnovers from Indiana State.
Boilermakers doing a much better job in those games where teams have managed to claw their way back in. Sometimes Purdue looked a little bit startled. This time, though, as it's got close, they've taken charge once again. Beautiful pass coming in there. Stoll with the rebound. It gets it to 4 and 1.
And if I'm Mark Mitchell, my offense has to be centered around Stahl. I mean, you see here on this, she's able to get the rebound. She's able to take the foul and finish. Stahl has been playing really well here for the Sycamores early on. Already 8 points to go along with 8 rebounds as well. And that's how Indiana State was successful at the end of that first quarter, is they were getting to the basket and they were being able to finish at the basket instead of settling for jump shots that they don't really want, as Stahl's able to finish there.
Well, unsurprising, Stahl was the team leader in rebounds, and we're seeing that once again this afternoon. Her and Williams account for 41% of rebounds. McCarthy going against Stahl. And Stahl, it's not just the offensive end. She can do it on the defensive end as well. Sycamores try and speed that one up, and just not able to handle that one is White.
And a tough break there on the turnover from Indiana State, but Stahl is absolutely dominating under the basket, defending Lana McCarthy, getting the rebound, and then starting the break up the floor, a tough break on the turnover. But man, Stahl is really impressive here today for the Sycamores.
So I can say with confidence the Boilermakers are up 10 points now, 32-22 with 5:18 to go in this first half. Lombard from the wing puts that up, puts it down. And now Lombard starts to speed up. It seems like everyone's having their moment at some point in this game, Craig.
And Destiny Lombard coming off the bench and awakening this Boilermaker offense. 2 threes from behind the arc. She's playing really well here today.
Beautiful rebound coming in there from Maya Simpson. Illinois native gets the putback. Last game Simpson played was against Marquette. Only 3 games she's played in this season, all of which she started, but just had a torrent of injuries, unfortunately. So really glad to see her back as Lombard scoring continues from the top of the lane.
Man, if we were playing 90s video games, she would be on fire. She's hit 3 in a row now for the Purdue Boilermakers, and that speed defensively is also a big boost for Purdue.
Unfortunately, Craig, I wasn't born in the 90s, so I have to take your word for it.
It's the best decade.
So timeout taken. We'll take a timeout ourselves and be back in just a moment. All the action on Big Ten Plus.
Purdue Basketball is off for the rest of the year. You can talk Purdue Hoops live on the radio starting back up Monday, January 6, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. on the Purdue Basketball Live Show, presented by Jim Hill Constructors. The show airs straight on the Purdue Global Radio Network, including 96.5 WATY. Yeah, there's also free live on the Purdue Sports Facebook page. Don't forget you can also join in person at walkouts and the Purdue Memorial Union.
What's up?
Well, welcome back, the Boilermakers, 37-24, and Destiny Lombard, she's having her moment right now, Craig.
Yeah, she's on fire. 3 of 5, 2 for 3 from three-point land, 8 points. Go along with a rebound and a couple assists, and she's been a huge boost coming off the bench for the Boilers. And this was a closer game starting here in the second quarter, but Destiny Lombard has come out here and said, not today.
Louisiana native led the team with 16 points last game. We mentioned that she's top of the Big Ten in steals, and the amount of points that she's got off those steals, just because when she gets them, she's so fast. I mean, who's going to catch up with her?
I was just going to say that the speed of Destiny Lombard and the way that she's able to get away from defenders, you see there, and pulling up a little bit off on that one, but it's the space, it's getting away from the defenders and giving yourself that room to breathe to get a shot up.
Jones goes down a bit hard on that far side. And you saw, just tripped over the ball.
Ouch. She got the hip too. That's a tough fall there, but tough as nails is the guard for the Boilermakers, and she's able to pop right back up.
So possession stays with the Boilermakers with 4 minutes to go in this first half, and so far some great offensive play on display. Swanson takes a step to the left, just kind of put herself off though, wasn't able to set her feet, and the Sycamores will look to get going on the pointy end of things. Nice pass inside to White. Back outside, the Sycamores, a bit more speed here. And somehow, Seacrest found a completely open lane, but wasn't able to make the most of it.
Yeah, and the Sycamores have been struggling here in this second quarter with finishing at the basket. You see there, Purdue not struggling whatsoever as Reagan Bass is able to finish that one at the cup.
That was an unbelievable pass, especially from where I was sitting. Jones to Collier, just predicting where she was going to be. It was like a through pass in soccer.
Yeah, there's been a couple of those really nice passes here early on in the first half from the Purdue Boilermakers.
Indiana State just needing to watch that this one doesn't get too much of a deficit. Once again, not able to get things on their trip down the offensive end, and the foul called on them as well, so the Boilermakers will come away with it.
Yeah, I think Katie Gerald's found the counter for Sage Stahl, and her name is Reagan Bass, as she's been doing an efficient job here on Stahl, keeping Stahl off the glass, as Bass was able to get that board and draw the foul.
Well, height-wise and physicality-wise, very similar players, both a lot of speed, but really physical inside the paint as well. So right now, McCarthy and Pierre are out, and it's Bass that will go to work inside. You see that speed there, twisting, turning, getting the ball to fall.
Bass being rewarded for her efficiency on the defensive end, and a nice up and under move, and she's able to finish. And Bass, don't sleep on Reagan Bass. She can break out. She's a double-digit scorer herself if Sycamores give her the room.
That's the difficulty for the Sycamores as they try the high press, but the Boilermakers slice through it like butter. Jones on the weak side, puts it up. Doesn't get it to fall. Lombard on the rebound. Outside, Swanson, all the space in the world, and spaces that one into the hoop.
Yeah, and Sophie Swanson there was able to finish on that one the first time. Didn't get the shot she liked, but she was able to square up on that one, and you saw, can't leave Sophie Swanson open as she kisses the bottom of the net.
I was going to mention right now with Bass out there, it highlights once again the depth of this Boilermaker team. You know, Stahl, all the credit to her. She's done a phenomenal job defensively against Purier and McCarthy, but now she's got to deal with Bass, like a whole nother realm.
Well, and I think that's been the frustrating thing for Katie Geralds. I mean, ultimate winner, wants to win, wants to see this Purdue Boilermakers program succeed, and that's been the frustration, is not seeing the success here early on, because, as you mentioned, there is so much talent on this Purdue Boilermaker roster, not just on the floor, but also coming off of the bench, and you're seeing it on display here this afternoon.
Indiana State trying to stop this scoring drought right now. Holding it on the outside is Jones. Jones and Jones going against each other at the top of the arc. This time Purier comes to help as well. Somehow Deja Jones gets through the double team, puts it up to Seacrest, and that's unfortunate because Deja Jones did absolutely everything she could there.
I'm at a loss for words because Destiny Lombard went for that pass cross court, and somehow it still got through even though Indiana State got a hand on it. You take another look at it here. Foul is called under the basket, but man, I don't know. I don't understand how that ball got through the hands.
Jones on one end, and then back to the other. Shanda Jones gets the first one to fall.
You mentioned the scoring run. Purdue's on a 10-0 scoring run over the last 2 minutes and 54 seconds. Make it 11-0. This is where Purdue is really starting to establish their dominance and take advantage of mistakes, as you see there from Indiana State.
And the big thing there, you just see Indiana State trying to force it, trying to change something, but just need to stay calm here. Once again, the Boilermakers still shooting at 56% from the field. So, you know, being down 12 points, you probably take it if you're Indiana State, Craig.
Yeah, definitely take it if you're Indiana State, but if you're also Katie Geralds, you want to bottle this up and save some of this for the Big Ten season that's opening up here in 2025.
Swanson drives down the line, trying to turn, double team. Lots of Indiana State players on the inside. Bass, bounces that one around and isn't able to control it.
Hot potato going on into the basket, being very friendly with the ball, and Purdue ends up turning it over.
Both teams crashing the glass on the defensive end. Deja Jones thought about it for a second, will hand that one off, and the three will fall from Finnegan.
And that's only the second three that Indiana State's made here in this first half, under a minute to go here in quarter number 2, but 2 for 6 from the floor is not going to get it done, especially when Purdue's shooting 5 for 12 and shooting 50% from the floor.
Lombard sets herself, just trying to take some more of the time off of the clock, and in the end.
As a 5-second call there. Good defense at the top of the key from Sechrist, and earning the turnover there.
Just took too long there. Lombard trying to get something going.
In the game for the Sycamores, number 4.
Coach Mitchell just trying to slow the play of this one down, wants to come away with points in what could potentially be their final trip.
Well, I mean, it's a momentum builder going into halftime. Right now, down by 19. You cut that to 16 here. So you want an efficient shot, carry some of that momentum into the locker room at halftime.
20 seconds left to go in the first half here in West Lafayette. Simpson looks to take control of it, goes against Bass, drives in, puts that one up, Bass denies her, and the Boilermakers will get one last chance to go. Shot clock off. Lombard from the wing, puts it up, unable to get it to fall, and that will be it. The Boilermakers 46-27, the lead that they'll take into the second half. Both these teams showing some moments, but just a bit more consistency needed. We'll be back in just a moment on Big Ten Plus. Welcome back to West Lafayette, Indiana. The Boilermakers 46 points, Indiana State 27, and quite the explosive half, Craig, for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, Purdue's played really well in the first half. 15 points off of turnovers. 19 points have come off the bench for the Purdue Boilermakers. We mentioned that in the first half a couple of different times about the depth in the bench. 19 points for the bench. 20 points in the paint. The Boilers have 9 points off fast breaks.
Indiana State was keeping it close for a while, but then Destiny Lombard just came into this one and came into her own. A very explosive second quarter. It means the Boilermakers control a comfortable lead, but we spoke a lot about Stahl as well, Craig, and they're really doing a phenomenal job. Just need some help, really.
Yeah, Stahl already with a double-double in the first half. She's been really well down low in the post, being able to box out Boilermakers trying to get rebounds, and she's done a nice job of that, but realistically, Sage Stahl is the only thing that's going well for the Indiana State Sycamores right now. The Boilermakers have multiple players with 7, 8 points. Sycamores only have Stahl, so they're going to have to rely on some more people here in this second half if they want to come back here against the Boilermakers.
Someone like Chloe Williams and also Bella Finnegan are going to have to step up here if the Sycamores can close the deficit. The Boilermakers have slowed down. We've mentioned it a few times later on in games earlier in the season. And Indiana State, they're a second half team, so they're probably not feeling too discouraged, Craig, based off that fact, right?
I mean, no, not necessarily, but also, I mean, Indiana State's going to have to see something here early on in this third quarter if they're going to want to make a comeback in this one. Purdue is playing too well offensively. They are being very efficient with the ball here in the first half, so Indiana State's really going to have to come out here with a surge here in this third quarter. I mean, Purdue went on a 10-0 run in the second quarter, so Indiana State's really going to have to come out here with a push offensively if they're going to want to come back here in this game. On the other side for the Purdue Boilermakers, they just have to keep their foot on the gas, keep doing what they're doing, keep passing the ball around, unselfish basketball, and finding the ball into the hoop.
We're about to find out, can Indiana State act as the Grinch and steal the joy of Christmas from these Boilermaker fans? All the action on Big Ten Plus. The Boilermakers going to be right to left on your screen. Indiana State left to right. The Boilermakers with the inbound as we get things going. The second half in West Lafayette, Indiana. .46 points for the Boilermakers, one of the highest amounts of points they've scored in a first half. As Lombard hands it out to Reynolds. Back on the other side to Collier. Far is it to that far side, and Lombard not able to get it to go, but Bass will.
Quickly, Bass had to get that rebound and put it back up. She got the ball in her hands with 1.8 left on the shot clock as that one didn't hit the rim, but a nice job by Reagan Bass and a good start here for the Purdue Boilermakers. And a note, JJ was able to reach out to Ian, the SID, for the Purdue Boilermakers, and he did confirm that the 46 points is the most points scored by the Purdue Boilermakers in a first half or in a half this season. So Purdue, firing on all cylinders here in this afternoon matinee matchup.
And it's not that they started that quickly. It's just that second quarter, end of the first quarter, and then all of the second quarter. Everything happening for the Boilermakers. McCarthy back into this one, hands it off to Reynolds, who takes a shot from the top of the lane. But off the ball, a foul will deny that.
Yeah, you can't move your feet on a screen attempt, and Boilermakers weren't able to keep their feet set on that screen. So an early turnover for the Boilermakers here as you take another look. Lana McCarthy trying to set the screen up there and didn't keep her feet set.
So Deja Jones brings that one across. Another player who had a really solid first half alongside Stahl. I think the two of those really the leaders right now for the Sycamores.
Yeah, there just has to be, more movement of the ball for Indiana State, taking better shots, taking more quality shots, and not turning the basketball over.
Lombard steals that one once again. An absolute specialist in that area and tries to speed things up. Simpson tried to track back. In the end, though, does commit the foul.
Destiny Lombard is such a contributor to this Purdue Boilermaker team. You saw it on both sides of the floor there. Quick hands on the defensive side, causing the turnover, and then drawing the foul. She is continuing to pay dividends for the Purdue Boilermakers. You see there another look at the foul called on Simpson. And then the finish at the hoop for Lombard. Man, she's doing everything today for the Boilers.
Well, Lombard and Juju Watkins are the only players in the Big Ten averaging 13 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists and 2.5 steals. As you see Lombard drive underneath the hoop once again. So just, not just a leader for this Boilermaker team, but really a leader in the nation right now.
Yeah, and great company to be included with, Juju crushing it out there in California for the Trojans this season, and I'm sure the Boilers would like to be talked about in more regards like the USC Trojans, and Destiny Lombard is putting one foot in front of the other and doing that this season for the Boilers.
It's Indiana State just trying to spark the offense with the deficit as it is right now. Waiting to the fourth quarter is too long. Get it done in the third, and Finnegan, a nice shot.
Beautiful step back for Finnegan there. Playing the defense as it was given to her, and the nice step back and able to finish. They're going to need a couple more of those here today.
McCarthy took the double team. It means all the space is there for Reynolds. Nothing that Stolen White could do.
And in having a post player that can see the floor like Lana McCarthy does, getting the double team, knowing it's coming, and then able to find the open player on the floor, and she did just that.
Finnegan starting to heat up here. Drives underneath the hoop, gets that one to fall.
I think Finnegan might have heard us talking in the open in the second half here, and the Sycamore's needing some more offense, and Finnegan is giving them 5 points here.
That's a very physical tackle coming in there from Simpson. She thought she saw the ball, but in the end, it's all body contact. Good tackle in rugby.
That's a great tackle, but tough as nails are the Purdue Boilermakers, and Destiny Lombard takes the shot and gets right back up. The transfer from LSU.
Well, you mentioned it, Craig, the physicality we saw in the first half. Didn't speak about it as much because the game kind of opened up, but we're seeing it once again there. And a nice job from Collier on the weak side to get it to fall.
Collier quietly having a nice game here. Already in double digits, 2 for 3 from the three-point line. The depth of the Purdue Boilermakers continuing to pay dividends here in this game.
That Miami of Ohio game, another good one for her. Finnegan, 3 shots in a row, gets the points to come.
Yeah, Bella Finnegan is on fire. 14 points, 5 of 6 from the floor, now 4 for 5 from three-point land.
So Indiana State, they may have figured out the offensive end a bit more, just need some more ideas on the defensive. McCarthy takes it on the inside, gives it back out to Reynolds, who hands it back, and McCarthy gets big, gets it up, gets it down.
Yeah, too strong is Lana McCarthy, and nice drop step, and she's able to kiss that one off the glass and finish.
We'll see a quick replay of this one. I mean, it's just so tough, right? McCarthy stepping on the outside. What can you really do there if you're still?
Yeah, big, strong, physical, now in double digits, 10 points and 3 rebounds for Lana McCarthy.
And we'll be back here in just a moment. 57-35 the score. The Boilermakers starting hot here in the second half. Welcome back to West Lafayette, and Craig, just taking a look at the stat card right now. I mean, the Boilermakers 59% from the field, 40% from 3. This is their best offensive outing we've seen all season. And the reason I mention that is, Indiana State, they're not playing bad. 50% from 3 as well. It's just, when the Boilermakers are firing like this, they're a hard team to beat.
Yeah, Purdue 5 of their last 5 from the floor, and they came out hot here. in this third quarter, and they are playing really well efficiently today, and it is being spread around as everyone is playing well. Lombard, McCarthy, Collier, everyone is playing efficiently today for the Boilers.
And they're also keeping up that intensity throughout the game, something they've had to work on this season. Nice inside pass coming. Unable to get the points to fall, though, is Seacrest. Lombard speeding things up for the Boilermakers.
Well, and I think you look at the Purdue Boilermakers record, and they're going to surprise some people this season in the Big Ten, and going to win some games that you wouldn't expect them to win going into the game. There is a lot of talent on this Purdue Boilermaker team. Katie Gerald has done an incredible job putting this group together. And again, like I said, don't be fooled by the record. They're going to surprise some people this season in the Big Ten.
Coach Katie Gerald speaking yesterday obviously mentioned the record, said 6-5 is just not good enough. But when you look at who those losses have come against, half of them are against top 10 teams.
Well, and that's what we talked about earlier on here in this one is iron sharpening iron, and that's what Katie Gerald is doing. Again, you want to come out and play, you want to win the game. But when you look at the record, it's not exactly what you want it to be for Katie Gerald's, but your team is getting better. You're seeing growth. You're seeing the team take the next step here, and now you want to bottle that up and save that for the Big Ten season.
Boilermakers had to face an exceptional Notre Dame team early in the season within the first 3 games. It took a lot of their confidence away. It was a blowout. Turnovers have been an issue for them, and Katie Gerald said that they've really started to get more physical in practice to try and counter the turnovers. She said they want to play fast, but you can't be in a hurry. I think today you've seen it, right? The offensive just seems to be more controlled when they speed it up.
Yeah, and you talk about a Notre Dame team that quite possibly might win the national championship this year. Nothing to take nothing away from South Carolina, Kentucky, some of the other teams that Purdue has played. But Notre Dame, man, they are a really good basketball team. And, a lot of learning happening that day for the Purdue Boilermakers, again, when you lose like that on your home floor. But, I mean, it's a team that could quite possibly win the national championship this season.
It's Indiana State on the line right now. And White for a second one puts that up and gets those points to fall.
They give away free fries here in women's basketball too? Or is that just for the men's game?
I believe that's just men's.
Oh, man. Shout out to whoever's listening. Let's get some free fries going for the women's game too.
You hungry?
Everyone is that comes to the game.
Weak side shot coming up from Swanson. Puts it up, puts it down, and that's a quick release there.
A teardrop. Sophie Swanson launched that one up into the atmosphere, and it came down. Splash.
The Boilermakers now 44% from 3 and continuing to grow into this one. Finnegan puts that one up, unable to get it to go down, and Purdue with the chance, it feels, Craig, to close this one out with 5 minutes left to go.
Well, I mean, there's still a lot of time to play in this game. In Indiana State, I mean, they're going to have to get things going here if they want to try to make a comeback in this one. But, man, the way that Purdue's playing today offensively, they have their foot on the gas here this afternoon.
We'll be back in just a moment. 62-36 the score. All the action on Big Ten Plus.
Go ahead.
The Boilermakers continue to heat up, even as the temperatures outside cool down. I mean, it's been brutal, the weather, Craig, lately.
It's been back and forth. I mean, come on now. 22 degrees isn't super cold.
It's cold enough, Craig. It's cold enough.
The opposite of cold are the Purdue Boilermakers, as they have been hot here offensively on the floor here in this one, playing really well against Indiana State here, one of their last non-conference matchups before the new year in January.
Lombard drives in, tries to put that one up, unable to get it to fall, and Indiana State this time a better job stopping the Boilermakers, getting a second chance.
When Indiana State just has to slow down, they just need to put together a couple of buckets. A nice job there by Stahl getting the board.
And Stahl, we haven't said her name as much as what we did in that first half, but a nice job getting points. It looks like the Sycamores, Craig, trying to move to that high press.
No, but that also is a testament to the defensive adjustments for the Indiana State Sycamores and making the adjustment on Stahl and not allowing her to hurt them any longer.
Bass nearly got the rebound, but in the end, it'll be Jones that comes away with it. White going against Bass. Needs a bit of help here, finds it in Stahl. Finnegan steps to the left. And Stahl somehow comes away with that one. And in the end, the foul is called. Really great job by Stahl.
Yeah, Stahl getting her 12th rebound and then drawing the foul on that one there. And we said her name on the last trip down and able to finish at the hoop was Stahl, and trying to keep her Sycamores here in this one.
Jones on the inbound, finds Finnegan, who every time gets the ball is looking to take a shot. She does that once again. This time, though, it tracks to the right. But you see the confidence she's playing with now. Swanson from the corner. It's another high one, this time just a bit too much on it. The freshman Puryear gets big, and a foul is called. When you look at who the lead scorers are for the Boilermakers right now, Collier 10, Jones 7, Swanson 10. A big change from last game, Tuesday night. It was really the Boilermaker senior transfers who stepped up to combine for 44 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists. This time it's some of those younger players stepping up, Craig.
Well, and that's what you want if you're Katie Gerald. You want the transfer players, you want the veterans to come in and kind of rub off on the younger players, and it's seeming to have started to take hold or starting to happen here for the Purdue Boilermakers as the freshmen are starting to, kind of hit their stride, if you will, early on here in this season.
Puryear makes the first of the pair and will come away with two.
Hey, man, you don't normally see anybody jump or take a jump shot on the free throw, but Puryear is able to find her stroke on that one. She's able to put him down.
Finnegan just trying to find a bit of help. In the end, gets it inside to White. And Stahl once again just causing so many problems inside for the Boilermakers.
Yeah, and I think Katie Gerald has found the answer to that, and that's Reagan Bass as she finishes at the hoop. But she has been a brick wall in the post defensively against Stahl, and you see she's able to finish it off there, do it on the offensive end as well.
And against a triple team there. So Indiana State throwing everything they've got at Bass and still not able to stop her from the corner. Finnegan not able to get it to go, but the Sycamores will get themselves a second chance. Indiana State need a bit more movement off the ball. They find it there. It's Jones that charges down the lane and gets them some points.
That's a great cut there by the guard. Able to find the range. And a great pass from Stahl, who's getting doubled down there in the post.
Collier puts it up, puts it down. And Purdue continues to be so efficient from deep.
And Ella Collier sneakily having a really nice game, leading the Boilermakers in scoring now with 12. Coming in here and leading by example, but a foul called there.
Well, last game, Collier, the Danville, Indiana native, 5 for 6 from the field and 2 for 2 from deep, but definitely beating that again tonight. Really coming into her own these last few games as an offensive leader, the fifth year.
Something else to consider as well, it's a feeling out process here during this non-conference season. Again, not the games in the non-conference don't matter, but the goal is to win your conference and make the NCAA tournament. And I think that Katie Gerald is doing a really nice job of filtering in talent, filtering in players getting everybody playing time, getting everybody a feel for the game, because you're never gonna know when your number's gonna be called in late February, early March, when you need somebody to come in here and make something happen or produce for you on the floor.
I think the biggest compliment you can give Coach Katie Geralds is she knows exactly what players she wants, what players she needs. Petrie being one of them, puts that one up and gets the deep 2 to fall. And the Boilermakers put up 70 points here.
Yeah, Mari Petrie, 6 points now. Still hasn't missed yet. 2 for 2 from the floor, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Another one of those transfers that have come in here and given the Boilers a boost on the floor.
So Chloe Williams will go to the line, and Indiana State just needs to try and do something here. They had a great fourth quarter last game, 26 points, which matched their season high, but they're going to have to score a lot more than 26 points to get a victory here today.
Yeah, and it starts with just, putting the ball in the cup, and Indiana State struggled with getting the ball to the hoop and finishing here in this second half.
Boilermakers looking to just slow this down, take some time off, and head into the fourth quarter here. Jones waiting for the play to set. Puglia finds herself at the top of the arc. Back over to Swanson, who checks up, unable to get it to fall in. Hit every corner of the rim, apart from the net. Williams, who we haven't seen too much in the offensive end, apart from the very start of the game, gets herself some points.
Now Williams is able to position herself in front of the basket, nice little drop step and finish at the hoop.
And talking on those turnovers, Craig, it does feel like the Boilermakers done a great job of holding on to the ball this game.
Well, it's quality possessions. It's taking quality shots. It's not getting loose with the ball, not taking shots you don't want to. Again, you see there a beautiful pass as Petrie's able to finish now. Still hasn't missed from the floor.
Indiana State tried to keep it in, did a great athletic job of doing so, but in the end, the Boilermakers just get 3 points from it. As you see a replay of it here. Try to keep it in there, Simpson. She did a nice job, but Indiana State once again just not able to stop this dominant Boilermaker team.
Well, and with the lead that Purdue has, I mean, this is a benefit for Purdue because it allows you to get into your offensive set. There's no rush. It's not a tight game, and so it allows Purdue to get into their offensive set and really feel things out and find the best shot for them and not just taking any shot.
Again, Craig, it just feels like one of those games where Purdue started quickly and they've controlled it through. And, it's a team that was beating Maryland, a top 10 team, the entire game until the fourth quarter when they finally came into it. Kentucky, also in the last few games, the Boilermakers just couldn't start quickly in this one. So,
well, that's why I'm saying I think Purdue's going to be someone to watch out for in the Big Ten Conference this season. Again, they've played well against top competition in the NCAA, but also in the Big Ten Conference. And you talk about that Maryland game, and that's a frustrating game for Katie Geralds and the Purdue Boilermakers. That's a game Purdue should have really won.
Williams gets that up in the final moments and gets fouled to keep 1.2 seconds on the clock in this third quarter. Sorry, Craig, you were saying?
No, you're good, JJ. As we take another look here at this one, a nice job at the basket. Chloe Williams just getting hounded all the way to the hoop and drawing the foul, and now she'll go to the line for a couple.
William gets that first one to go down. And we get the second one as well. She had that great kind of start to the game. She's averaging 13.8 points per game. And she's got 8 now, just starting to heat up slightly. Third quarter's done, the fourth quarter coming up. Can Indiana State at least claw back into this one? We'll find out in just a few moments on Big Ten Plus.
Start your comeback today at purdueglobal.edu. Purdue Athletics thanks the official optical for being the official arcade provider for the Boilermakers. Turn your attention to the ribbon boards for your group name announcement. Purdue Women's Basketball would like to thank all of our groups in attendance at today's game. We're glad to have you on our team enjoy the game. One member of our now on the great benefits of purchasing group tickets call 765-494-3325.
A very warm welcome back, and we'll take a quick look at Indiana State's schedule coming up. Where, Craig, do you think that they can get in there and snap this losing streak?
Well, I mean, they have a tough schedule coming up. Northern Iowa, Illinois State, Bradley, Evansville, and Southern Illinois. A great opportunity on December 29th against Northern Iowa to carry some momentum into the new year. Try to finish off 2024 with a victory, but it doesn't get any easier as the Sycamores get into the meat of the Missouri Valley Conference schedule. See how that plays out for them as we take a look at the Purdue Boilermakers schedule. Looks like we got Santa Claus here. I didn't know Santa was a Purdue fan. They look at the Boilermakers schedule coming up as well. A quick look there as we talked about this being the last game of the 2024 half of the season for the Boilermakers coming up. They'll have Iowa in a Big Ten matchup on the 29th, Michigan State, UCLA, and Michigan into the new year. A great opportunity for the Purdue Boilermakers to take a step forward in the Big Ten Conference, and that starts on December 29th against the Hawkeyes.
And with the Big Ten, Craig, it's one of those things where no matter who you're playing on the road, it's always going to be a hard game. The Boilermakers, credit to Katie Geralds, I think are the most prepared and battle-tested of, well, definitely all the Big Ten teams.
Well, if you take another look at that one there, the foul at the hoop. But yeah, JJ, it does not get any easier again. And Purdue added, or not Purdue, but the Big Ten Conference added, UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington as well. And we talked about Juju Watkins and the Trojans earlier on. And the Boilers are going to have a tough task ahead of them. But if the season coming up is anything like what we've seen today, the Boilers are going to be in a good spot.
Yeah, we've mentioned the expansion of the Big Ten quite a few times. I mean, you're in quite a unique position where we've seen it in other areas. A lot of people talk about basketball, they talk about football, where we've seen it a lot more in soccer, you've seen it in wrestling, and it's just been amazing, the talent, the extra talent that's come in all different sports other than the main ones you may think of.
Well, yeah, and you also have a lineage that comes in with those teams as well. Again, basketball at USC, football at Oregon, these other sports, these teams that are coming in, they're not just schools that are joining a conference. I mean, there's a lot of lineage with those places, and it's going to be fun to see Purdue play against some of those places. I mean, the big one for me is Purdue versus UCLA with the ties of John Wooden and coaching of basketball at UCLA. It's going to be exciting to see the Boilers match up against the UCLA Bruins this season.
And on the men's side of things, Purdue-UCLA was the first ever game played inside this great arena filled with so much history. So I know a lot of Purdue fans excited for that, for the men's and, of course, the women's as well. You mentioned that John Wooden connection.
Well, and that's why it's awesome being able to come here and broadcast games. This isn't a new building, and not a knock on the building. I like that it's older. But again, there's so much lineage in these walls. Like you said, 1967, the first game played here at Mackey Arena, and the games that have been played here since.
Lombard put that one up, but wasn't able to get it to go down. Williams will hand it off to Jones. And right now for Indiana State, as the hole does seem big, just about taking something positive from it. Stoll gets her first shot in from deep. So much work on the inside and gets rewarded on the outside finally.
And why isn't Indiana State letting Stahl go out and roam around the three-point land if she can shoot like that from three? But all she can handle with Reagan Bass, who's putting on a clinic in the post.
Indiana State just trying to switch things up and take some momentum into the final game of the year. The Boilermakers Next time game will be in the new year. All right, Reynolds checks back into this one. Jones thought about it, hands it off to Bass, who this time takes a shot from the outside. And much like Stahl, is able to get the work done on the inside and on the outside. Stahl turning. Blocked though by Bass, and McCarthy cleans it up.
That is great defense from Reagan Bass. Again, she's been the antidote, if you will, as she finishes again at the basket. The antidote for Sage Stahl. As Stahl, haven't heard from her much here in the second half, and Reagan Bass is a real contributor to that.
Indiana State went to the triple team to try and slow Bass down, but still they just weren't able to do it. And that time it was just the one-on-one with Stahl, and Bass getting it to go down.
Nice job there by Chloe Williams on the up and under to finish that one off.
It would seem that the physicality inside the paint has slightly decreased, given that everyone seems to be just running to the hoop.
I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of a change in the physicality. These girls have been clanging and banging all day long, and it's been fun to watch as Lana McCarthy tries to go reverse, but I like the physicality. You talked about offense earlier. I'm a defensive guy, man. I like to see bodies clanging together in defensive performance, but
Finnegan continues to have a great game in this second half, gets another 3 to fall.
Yeah, Finnegan creeping near 20 points, 6 of 14 out from the floor, 5 of 11 from three-point land.
That's the amazing thing. You know, you see the stat card for the Sycamores, multiple players in 10 digits as Bass gets the and one, but they're still down now 22 points, and it's just the way the Boilermakers are playing.
Well, and it's because Purdue hasn't taken their foot off the gas. There's no let-up, if you will. There's no prevent defense happening from the Boilermakers. You see the finish there from Reagan Bass, as she's been a huge contributor here in the second half, but there's been no let-up from Purdue. You know, they didn't go into half celebrating a 20-point lead at half. They've come out here and tried to extend that lead, and they're still doing that right now.
It definitely feels that Maryland game left a bit of taste in their mouth after holding the lead all the way until the end of the third quarter. This time, though, as you say, Craig, the Boilermakers just keeping that foot fully planted on the floor. We just see a hockey-style change there, a florent of players coming in and coming out.
Well, and I would expect that the last couple of weeks at practice have not been fun for the Purdue Boilermakers, as Katie Gerald, we've talked about a number of times here this afternoon. Ultimate winner, wants to win, wants this Purdue Boilermaker team to be successful and wants to win. And so that usually generates and usually means that practices aren't as fun. There's a lot of running going on. There's a lot of yelling, a lot of running, and a lot of improvement, and we're seeing that here today from the Purdue Boilermakers.
Williams is fouled there by Petrie. And yeah, I mean, Katie Gerald has definitely done what she wanted to do and stopped the turnovers, and that came from physicality in practice, and we've seen it here today.
Yeah, turnovers, only 10 today. Also 35 rebounds for the Boilers, and they're shooting lights out from the floor.
Swanson, a bit too much speed and pace on that, but the foul being called on Chloe Williams. It's interesting, Katie Gerald also said yesterday that, you know, the Boilermakers have a lot of young players in key areas, Puryear, McCarthy, and now obviously Jordan Poole coming into the action as well. And she said, you know, when second semester comes, those younger players are going to have to step up. You don't get the benefit of it just saying, oh, well, it's a mistake, that's fine, it's first semester. So, you know, Katie Gerald wants to take this team to a new level, and they're playing at it right now.
Yeah, they definitely are playing, you know, a lot better basketball here this afternoon, and it's a building process. Like you said, getting those young players in as Poole takes the 15-footer and gets the Boilermaker roll and finishes that one. But it's getting the younger players in, getting them, you know, adjusted to the college life, getting them adjusted to the schedule, and then getting them prepared for the grind that is the Big Ten schedule.
That's a big moment. Jordan Poole getting the first points here in Mackey Arena for the Boilermakers. Many more to come. Katie Gerald saying she's just a pure playmaker. Just trying to manage her minutes right now, getting her back from that injury, but just so great to see her out there. And I know many Purdue fans will agree with that as well.
Yeah, you're not going to get a Purdue fan to disagree with that, as that one goes off the knee of Ruffin and the Boilers get the ball back. But yeah, Purdue's fans have to be happy with what they're seeing here today and hoping to see more of that into this new year.
Every Boilermaker that's come onto the court has left their mark, and that's resulted in an 83-61 lead heading into this commercial break. Back in just a moment on Big Ten Plus. Right now, the Boilermakers looking to get their season high in points. 102 is the most they've scored so far. 4 minutes 22, maybe. They're going to be feeling it either way, but yeah, you see someone like Jordan Poole coming in, getting her first points by Boilermaker career. Just everybody that's come on has had a sense of confidence this game for the Boilermakers, Craig.
Yeah, and everybody on the floor in a white and black and gold jersey is kind of like the song here blaring through Mackey Arena, getting their swag on here this afternoon, and they are doing that in full today. And Katie Gerald has to be happy with what she's seeing on the floor. It's just a second ago, that's the first smile I've seen from Katie Gerald in a couple of weeks here. Happy with how the team is progressing, how the team is responding here today against the Sycamores.
I wished her luck today, and she smiled, so I don't want anyone to think that Katie Gerald is not happy. A lot of credit to Indiana State. They continue to hustle here. Beautiful pass coming in to Purdue. Chloe Williams, another foul called on her. Will be her third.
Yeah, great ball movement here. You see feeding Purdue in the post, and then a smart, nice little up fake there and drawing the foul. Purdue has played really well in compliment to Lana McCarthy here this afternoon in the post for the Boilers. We talk about Purdue's free throw shot as she misses that one, but 3 for 4 before the miss there, and so been shooting really well from the free throw line today.
Almost an eerie silence there. It's the quietest we've heard this arena all afternoon.
Yeah, they were silent because of the broadcaster jinx.
Oh, yeah.
Mentioned how well we were shooting from the free throw line, then dropped 2. So yeah, that's what they're silent on.
I'll tell security to protect you on the way out, Greg. Please do. Inside to Williams, who gets the double team, and this time it's a foul that's called on Purdue.
Well, that's just what we've seen all afternoon from both of these teams. It's just the physicality in the post. You see there, Purdue just a little bit too much on that forearm shiver there.
And this time the inbound and the foul's going to get called on Poole. So the tempo of this game just slowing down, it feels like, slightly in the final stages.
Oh, you forget, too, it's not just these teams that are quickly running up and down the floor. It's these referees, too. They had to taking a couple breaths here in the fourth quarter, as this has been a high-paced game for both these teams.
It has been a very explosive matchup. We've seen a good amount of threes. The Boilermakers only put up 11 threes last game. They made 8 of them, so it made up for that. Right now, they're sitting at 23, 7 made. Still shooting above 50% though from the field. Nice takeaway there by Queen Ruffin, who takes it on that far side and tries to get something going here. Inside to White, outside to Chloe Williams, who had loads of space, thought about it in the end, tries to drive around the corner, but Purdue will track her. White, beautiful move. But in the end, we're going to call believe, a timeout just before that play. I think Coach Mitchell actually regretted that because in the end, White turned around and was able to make something happen.
Yeah, that's a tough break there for Indiana State because I believe that a foul would have been called there on Mari Petrie. A little bit of tripping going on, but the timeout issued to Indiana State. They're going to want to try to talk about things here with 3 minutes to go, trying to build some momentum again. You know, down by a big number, 22 points, but trying to build some momentum here as this game winds down.
Well, it's the final non-conference game for both these sides. The importance of just figuring out the issues. I mean, the Boilermakers seem to be as well-rounded as we've seen them all season. And now for Indiana State, just trying to take some of that momentum as well.
Yeah, great job. You saw there on that last replay there. Great job by our Big Ten Plus crew getting that look for us on the trip. That wasn't called a trip, but a lot of happiness around the building here today in Mackey Arena. Got the Purdue band out here as well.
So out of the timeout, in the end, it doesn't matter. Indiana State come away with points either way there through Sechrist. And Sechrist, an uncharacteristic game for her. Only 2 points in this one. She got 12 points last game, and that was the 10th game in a row with double digits. So looks like that is going to end as we see, I believe it's Puryear going down.
Yeah, so a tough break there. Mari Petrie drove to the basket, kind of passed the ball off the glass to Puryear. Puryear gets the rebound and goes up with it, and when she came down on the ankle and rolled her ankle. That's a tough break. She immediately went down as soon as she landed on the floor after shooting that one off the glass, and it does not look like she's feeling too well right now. It's a tough break for the freshman coming in here today.
So Puryear just taking her time to get back to her feet. It's one of those awkward injuries.
Well, and you see also she has an ankle brace on that right ankle.
And nice to see her getting up there. And helped off. Not able to put any weight on that right foot. And as you mentioned, Craig, as we get another look at it, it is wrapped up, that right ankle.
Oh, man.
I felt that.
Yeah, that's tough to watch, man. One of the worst things, I played basketball for 12 years, and every year I always knew it was coming. You're gonna step down and roll that ankle. And that's tough when that frequently happens, when you're jumping up and down as much as the players are on the floor. So I'll have to see. Puryear's going to be okay, but back on the floor.
Yeah, and just such a shame there because her and Williams have really gone at it all afternoon. It's such a, bad way to see that great battle end here. Obviously, completely accidental. Just came down on Chloe Williams' foot there.
Well, and that's some of the problems that the Boilers have had early on this season. The injury bug has bit the team in a couple of different ways. And, the hardest part is being healthy as you move into the bulk of your season. And I've heard from numerous professional athletes that, after the first game of the season, you're not 100% until the season's over with. And so see if the Boilers can bounce back on that.
So Petrie checks out of this one with 2:34. That may be the last time we see her. So that means we've got back-to-back point highs for Petrie. Starts to come into her own here in her Boilermaker career. Under 2 minutes 30 left to go. Pull against Ruffin. Ruffin nearly takes that one away, hands it off to Jones. Boilermakers speeding this one up in the final stages. Pull, that is a beautiful pass round the back. And McCarthy finishes it off. And that freshman duo, that's something you're going to see for a long time here in West Lafayette.
That is, what a teardrop from Jordan Poole, putting it right where it needed to be.
It was around the back, round the head.
Looks like she dropped it over the shoulder. We'll take another look at this one here. Oh, my goodness. Little flick of the wrist and right to McCarthy. What a beautiful pass.
So we see another timeout taken here. I thought you said you were a defensive guy.
Hey,
you can't be both.
I'm a defensive guy for sure, but I mean, you gotta put it in the Louvre when you can, if you will. You know what I mean?
I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I think he might be an offensive guy. He's going back on what he said. But either way, on both sides of the ball, it's been just an exceptional game to watch here as the Boilermakers put up 87 points. Indiana State, though, they tried their hardest, just weren't able to get any real assistance to stall. Chloe Williams comes into it in the fourth quarter. They kind of needed her earlier in this one.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, the Purdue's offense was just too much today for Indiana State. As Purdue, again, we talked about it, shooting 52% from the field, 67% from the free throw line. And the real stat, though, is those 11 turnovers. Purdue limiting their turnovers here today, taking better care of the basketball and relying on taking quality shots as opposed to just taking as many shots as you can.
I think interesting to note, Coach Mitchell for the Sycamores hasn't really changed his lineup in the final stages of this one. Obviously, even though that the Boilermakers are going to come away with the win, he wants those starting players to continue to experience playing against a team like the Boilermakers here. Paul puts that one up, not able to get it to go down. McCarthy on the rebound. Somehow the Sycamores stop it. Credit to Chloe Williams.
Yeah, McCarthy just wasn't able to finish the basket, getting hounded by a few Sycamores.
Finnegan thought about passing, thinks about the shot, and comes away with another three-pointer.
Yeah, Finnegan, 6 of 12 from three-point land today. Go along with 22 points.
Ruffin gets the vertical pass, a nice pass. Oh, and Swanson tries to deny Sechrist there, but a foul's going to get called. And I think that sums up this game the most. The explosiveness this Boilermaker team has played through this whole game.
Yeah, I mean, it's full sail. I mean, the Boilers have been firing on all cylinders, offensively, defensively. They've made good choices on the floor. It's just been an all-around good performance today for Katie Gerald and her Purdue Boilermaker team. Nice job there for White, cashing in on the first. 9 of 10 from the free throw line today, 90%. Now 10 of 11 for Indiana State today.
So under a minute to go here in West Lafayette, Indiana. The Boilermakers continuing to put those shots up. Swanson doesn't get that one to fall. Beautiful pass there to Sechrist. Another nice pass by herself. White tries to get it, but the Boilermakers matching Indiana State's speed here in the closing stages. Paul drives around, gets denied. I mean, that's a quadruple team, so that's expected.
Yeah, she went into the land of the bigs and got the foul call. You see here, no fear there from Jordan Poole. She'll get paid off at the free throw line now.
This will be Poole's first trip to the free throw line.
Yeah, and I've heard lots of good things for the freshman out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, for this Purdue Boilermaker team. There's a lot of expectation for Jordan Poole coming off of an injury, but a very talented athlete, a very talented basketball player for Katie Gerald and her Purdue Boilermakers. Big things to come in her career.
Unable to get the second one to fall, but obviously it's the first time she's been to a free throw line, so it makes sense. Chloe Williams tries to keep that one in, but ends up firing it into her own bench. With 25.8 seconds left to go, the Boilermakers, you'd think, would just want to try and close this one out as the shot clock is switched off for the final time today. The fans here inside Mackey Arena, and we also hope you that have been watching from home have enjoyed an offensive demonstration from the Boilermakers. As the final score and 87-68, the Boilermakers take down their Indiana rival, Indiana State.
Just an all-around good performance this afternoon for the Purdue Boilermakers.